Say it with me, everybody.
Boo! You stink!
And welcome to the PHLY Sixers Postgame show. After that awful performance by the Philadelphia 76ers, this show, not awful, it's great, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And as we always say in making the joke, when we start these shows off and it's regarding the Philadelphia 76ers, ordinary wouldn't even describe at all what's going on with this basketball team, especially that outing tonight. Alongside Derek Bodner, Kyle Newbeck, I'm Devon Givens. Bree with us as always. We can't wait to hear from all of you in the chat. Regular chats, super chats, throw them at us. Whatever you have, we want to hear it because Kyle laid it out from the first quarter on. Forget about the first quarter. From the first 5 minutes on, that was the sentiment of, I'm sure, many of you out there watching, more people, Sixer fans watching elsewhere, and certainly in our office while we were sitting out on the couch watching that, whatever that was.
That
of
dumpster fire of a game. That was an absolute disgrace.
So if anybody thinks that that was Kyle putting on a show with that boo,
Oh,
that
no.
was the most I have ever heard Kyle boo in the middle of a game.
I think you guys, you're lucky that you didn't have a watch along tonight with that one.
Listen. Well, so super producer Bree was doing some work during the game,
Yeah, she
showing
was.
some effort on her end to get some stuff done for our team. And every so often she would, her head would go up because I was yelling so loudly at the TV at what I was. So let's not mince words and let's start where the blame for that performance should start. And that is with Joel Embiid. That is one of the single most shameful performances of his entire career. I don't give a damn that he scored 20 points in the third quarter after they let it get out to a 30-plus point lead for the Pistons. I don't care what any of the stats look like. He showed up for this game with complete apathy. And I think one of the reasons that I think that I have maintained some level of sympathy for Joel over the years is that it's easy to get to that place to say, man, looking at this guy's body betray him. Like, you can put yourself in that guy's shoes, right? Like, none of us know what it's like to be 7 feet tall and athletic and as skilled as he is and all that. But we can all relate in some way. Hey, this is a guy whose body is failing him, who is just like, it's out of his control to some degree. And so you wait and you wait and you wait. And you think that as he gets older, and he commits to different habits and better habits and improves as a professional. He talks about all these things in his life that make him a better pro and a better basketball player. And you would think he would show up for every single game that he is available to play in, as if he doesn't know he's going to get to play him more, because that is the reality of his situation, right? He has not been able to play this year. So in my head, in an average person's head, you would think that guy's going to show up ready to kick people's asses when he's available. And he got punked up and down the floor that entire first half. He let them get 2 different offensive rebounds on missed free throws where guys are just going over his head for plays. He's jogging up and down the floor. Jalen Duren is just running right past him in transition. And I know I've hammered this point all year from the very beginning about how the regular season, as much as people think it doesn't matter, why it does matter. If you don't think if they got to the playoffs that another guy, not Jalen Duren, a better player on a better team, would be running right past them and scoring in transition, another young guy, an athletic guy, a big guy, would be getting offensive rebounds over him. We saw Hartenstein kill him on the offensive glass for the entire series against the Knicks last year. You got another thing coming, right? Your habits now are going to be your exact habits in the games that matter, in the series that matter, in the moments that matter. And I want super producer Bree to pull up the clip from the second half of Joel and Kelly Oubre having an argument on the bench, right? So these two have an exchange on the sideline This is well into this game. This is after Joel has been dogging it on defense. And this guy has the audacity of missing all of these games. But more importantly, right here, as you guys can see in the clip, he's feigning the jogging that Kelly's doing in transition. You had the audacity to lay that shit sandwich on the court that you were playing. And you're going to go to a guy who's, number one, been available, but number two, has busted his ass on defense for most of this year. And you're going to chide him for his defensive effort. It's zero self-awareness. If Kelly Oubre had punched him in the face, he would have been completely justified for that complete disrespect that he was shown by that guy on the sideline. You can say it's teammates hashing it out. You can say, oh, it's healthy that these things happen. You have to know, as the most important player on this team, as the leader of this team, that you have to show up first before you have the right to call that guy out in that fashion and to dress him down and humiliate him in front of the rest of the team like that. That is disgusting. I can't stand seeing that. I can't stand seeing that entire first half that he submitted tonight. That was an absolute joke. And if I was Nick Nurse and I'm coaching that team, I don't care if it alienates me from the star player. I don't care if they would have lost by 50 points. At about the quarter and a half mark, midway through the second quarter, I would have sent that guy to the locker room and told him, get out of my face, you're done for the night. That's how bad that game was.
That was the worst performance I've seen all season. It was, look, I'm not going to sit here and try to follow that up because you can't. Kyle is unique in his own right and a master at what he does. That was the worst performance of the season, and it's not close. To give up 78 points to the Detroit Pistons, playing without Cade Cunningham in the first half, it is, look, this team's transition defense has been an abomination all year. They're the worst in the league, legitimately give up the most points per possession in transition. It's not even really close. They're equally as bad running off or having teams run off of made baskets as they are off of turnovers, as they are off of live ball rebounds. And tonight was everything bad thrown into one. It was Embiid giving the least emotion, least effort, least connected. He was giving up shots at the rim that he wasn't even trying to contest. He was getting fouls because he wasn't moving, and everyone played off of that energy. And there is, look, I still have a lot of sympathy for Embiid with his body breaking down, but you have to set the tone for you. Well, you will set the tone for the game, whether you want to or not.
In a good way or
it's
a bad way.
It's going to happen. And for him to come out like this, and look, we all sat here and talked, and the broadcast, the ESPN broadcast was talking before the game about they have to play with every game like it's a playoff game because there's only 32 left, and they're sitting here with the record that they have. And this is like the 11th time you've gotten to play with the big three. You have to set a tone early. And it's just, I don't know if Embiid was just completely disengaged. I don't know if he's trying to save himself defensively, like talk off the other night. Whatever his reasoning was, it just wasn't good enough. And look, I do give them a little bit of credit for turning around in the second half. Not that it absolves them from the first half, just that it would have been a much worse reaction if it carried through the entire night. But my God, that was one of the worst performances. Like the effort, the attention to the detail, the communication, all of it was shit.
This team was a step behind all night long. Yes, they were behind in points. We know that. And as Kyle talked about with the way that they were out there on the floor, the way that they were approaching this one was terrible. Derek talking about, again, just the way that they laid everything out there on the floor tonight. They did. They laid down tonight for that Detroit Pistons team, and there was no reason for that whatsoever with Cade Cunningham out of this game. The other night, when Paul George didn't play well out there on the floor and the Sixers lost the game to the Miami Heat on the second night of a back-to-back, and the one thing that I said was Paul George, he let them down that night for what he did. And we also talked about how if you're going to be out there on the floor with the way that these other guys, the young guys were playing during that 4-game winning streak, losing those 2 games against Denver and Boston in back-to-back fashion, but keeping it close, you need to come out there and recognize how they were playing led by Tyrese Maxey. You fit in and you find a way to contribute because you are so talented that you'll still be very effective as part of that particular unit that helped. Now, Yabusele wasn't there. Guess what? You got a better player in his spot in Joel Embiid out there on the floor. And the effort that he gave,
I would have taken Hurt
up and
Yabu
down
over him
floor.
tonight.
And the one thing that I said about Paul George that night, if you're out there, You need to play.
Yes.
I understand you have a bad pinky. It's wrapped. You're trying to figure out how to play with that bad pinky. But if Joel Embiid is out there tonight after having a day off, after having 2 days off, did not play Wednesday, off on Thursday, traveled to play on Friday, if you are not going to give the effort while you are out there, there are no excuses for that type of performance out there on that floor. The brace was on. You're already accustomed to that. Nothing else seemed to be ailing him all night long except for the effort. From 2-foot layup air balls to fadeaway air balls to moving, pivot, throw the ball up in the air, it's going the other way. All of that stuff was a joke. It was a blooper reel from Joel Embiid in that first half until he put up those numbers that he did there in the third quarter. Too much, too late. It didn't matter. They could have lost by 1. Yeah, Derek is right. You give them a little bit of credit, some of them, for fighting back. But they should not have been at any point in this game against the Pistons down by 34 points and giving up 78 in the first half at all against the Detroit Pistons, who are a game under 500 without their all-star player. Are you serious?
They gave up 44 threes to a Pistons team that didn't have any real shot creators on the floor.
Unbelievable. And then you let Malik Beasley go off for a career high 36 points, making every three-pointer wide open. Yes, jokingly, not jokingly, because we thought he could make 3 threes in the game.
Gambling Gibbons is the only person who was vindicated tonight.
Yeah, we should have said 7 tonight.
And Tyrese barely hit that over.
Scraped
he
it, baby. Scraped it.
I'm glad we made money tonight, everybody, courtesy of Bet365, Tyrese Maxey, and Malik Beasley, and the Sixers defense for allowing him to shoot so many open shots like they did. Yes, Joe talks about Sasser coming into the game. Right away, he's making a defensive impact and then getting some points. Paul Reed coming in with a great sequence that he had where he was fantastic in that little bit of time that he out the floor, outworking Joel Embiid. This game was a brutal one to watch on a Friday night. We could have all done something a little bit better on a Friday night than watch that kind of basketball.
Literally anything.
Anything.
I would take a root canal over watching that game again.
Do you understand
not from
how
Paradise.
bad you have to stink to make Tobias Harris look like a sympathetic figure?
Oh, and we had to hear
The
ESPN,
ESPN broadcast going on and on about all he did was show up and be a true professional. Yeah, a true professional who made like $200 million and stole money for 5 years now gets to look like the good guy because you just took a dump out on the floor tonight. That's how bad that performance was. And look, it is not just Joel, right?
No.
But the reason that the anger to start this show is centered on Joel is because what was the press conference about today, largely? What did Daryl Morey say? Joel is the core of everything we do. We don't regret the extension when we gave it, and we don't regret it. I would do it then. I would do it now. He's the center of everything. And I understand why that's the case. I've seen the talent. I've seen the production. I've seen them win 50-plus games. None of that matters right now. You are now 11 games under 500, 51 games into the year. And these guys in that situation, 10 games under 500, knowing they're playing a team where this is a double win, right? Because this is a team ahead of you in the standings, someone you want to compete with for the seeding if you want to be a playoff team. It doesn't matter if it's their G League team is the entire roster. You come in with the mentality of, we got to kill these guys. We have to build something. And that, honestly, I know I've been preaching this all year, but it's such a just unearned arrogance that this team carries themselves with from the very beginning, being like, well, we're going to slow roll the season with Joel. We're going to be very cautious and all this. And now you're at a point where these are must-win games when you play teams like this, when you're in situations where it's like, they're banged up, we can get a win tonight. And they show up as if God is going to come down from the heavens and just hand them a victory. Like it's just been preordained that you're going to win games. They have way more confidence and belief in themselves than they have earned. And when they play real teams, if they even get to the playoffs, they will get blown off the floor because of that. You reap what you sow. That is what is happening right now. And it just, It's not all Joel, but tonight it started and it
Yes.
basically ended with him.
So to your point that it's not all Joel, and I 100% agree. Since January 1st, they have the second worst defense in the entire league.
Disgraceful.
They are a 10th of a point behind the New Orleans Pelicans for the worst defense
Who
in the
have
league.
like a hospital ward situation.
Yes, 100%. And some of that comes back to, obviously, Joe hasn't been there, although he stunk defensively, absolutely stunk defensively tonight. Completely shameful. But overall, Nick Nurse has to get more out of this squad. He just has to put them in better positions to contest shots, to get rebounds. If you have to stop going for steals, which seems like the entire basis of your defensive philosophy, you've got to do something to adjust because they have not gotten a stop in a month and a half.
They were handed another piece of it with Cade Cunningham being out, ruled right before the game. Another reason. If the motivation that you needed was the fact that, as Kyle talked about, we talked about it all during the pregame show, this is a team that is only 4.5 games in front of you in that 7th spot in the Eastern Conference standings. So for a play-in opportunity, you knock off a full game with them. And I don't know if they even have any more left with them. I know they were playing them 3 times this season. And I think this was it. I think this was the last one. So you lost 2 of them, which was the one game against the Pistons. I think it was game 3 to start the season off. Tobias Harris had a good game there. Barkin, of course, because he won this one.
The only time they beat Detroit was on a back-to-back.
Yep. So there's that one. You had every right to take this one here. With 32 games left, you had an opportunity right here. Now, while there are 31, they're not good enough for us to believe that they're going to walk out on the floor and win any of those games against any of the opponents that are out there. The Washington Wizards were playing, who were they playing? The Cleveland Cavaliers close tonight and giving them a game. You think Washington probably give the Sixers a run with those young guys out there on the floor? Maybe.
If you can lose to that version of the Pistons, you can lose
By the way,
to anybody
they
in the league.
almost lost to the Wizards a couple of weeks ago anyway at home, but they had to come back and win in that one. So Nick Nurse, we were talking about this, all 4 of us during the game, and I turned to all of them. I said, is this one worse than the Denver Nuggets game?
It's not even close.
Wasn't even
Easily.
close, right? Wasn't even
Easily.
close. Nick Nurse had to peel off the paint in the locker room by yelling at them to get them to come back and play the way that they did to win that 4 straight. You don't get that too many times to run back to that well, to yell and scream that way and think that they're going to respond to that once again. And oh, by the way, they have the Bucks on Sunday in Milwaukee.
They are
for
going
a
to make
2 o'clock
Hubie Brown's
game.
final game
Unbelievable.
one of the worst experiences of Hubie Brown's career, and I will never forgive them for that.
Never.
If they don't show up for Hubie Brown's final game, that's the last straw. I'm walking off the set.
Did that make you want to get a medium-sized ladder to slap Joel?
I just don't understand how you come
to
out there
add
for
on
that
to, you brought up
performance.
the transition defense, Derek, and to get away from Joel a little bit. Kyle Lowry, who I wrote in the recap tonight, he couldn't win a foot race with anybody in the NBA with a 10-foot head start right now. The Sixers had a made basket in the first half. Kyle Lowry spent 3 seconds on the baseline complaining to the officials as if Kyle Lowry's politicking with the refs in a bit role matters at all. Meanwhile, Detroit scores in the first 5 seconds of the shot clock, playing 4-on-5 on the other end. Corner 3 in early offense. The guy who, and like, I feel like I probably hammer Lowry too much relative to his impact
should be
on the
hammering
game
Nurse.
and on the team, and it's really about Nurse. Nurse playing this guy and watching stuff like that happen and still believing in his mind and saying it in press conferences, saying it in interviews with national media, like, oh, Kyle Lowry's voice in the locker room and on the floor is so important. That guy's out there doing the same stupid shit the rest of them are doing, and he also moves like the crypt keeper. What is he doing? Why is he playing? You literally just traded for a guard at the deadline. This guy's still playing. And Lowry is playing over him because of what Derek brought up on the pregame show. They only have so many games left that they can use because of these stupid CBA rules and limitations. And our pets' heads are falling off. It's just everything is wrong. And so I hyper focus on someone like Lowry. But why? Why is he on the floor? Why is that acceptable? If anything, that's one of the guys who it should be the least acceptable to give away points and give away possessions and be complaining to the officials because he ain't making up for it. He is not Tyrese Maxey, who maybe he'll get a call later in the game because he can actually drive by somebody because his legs aren't made of toothpicks and broomsticks at this point. Like,
Well,
And even
what are
when
we doing?
Even when he made a really good play on an offensive rebound against Isaiah Stewart, of all people, where he grabbed the board, he then went up and missed the 2 straight layups after doing something really good against a 6'9" big guy.
And look, I get it. Kyle's been playing for 20 years. Like, he's got some wisdom. Even if he makes dumb plays on the court, he can talk to the young kids. He can do all that. They've got a place for people who have wisdom about the game and don't have the body to play it anymore. It's called a coach.
Put the sticker on him.
All right. I'm going to let these guys cool off a little bit, take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get
I want to see
into...
Nico Hines in a foot race with Kyle Lowry. That's what I want to see.
We're going to come back. We'll get to some super chats
Say
because
Nico?
we have a ton of them
Oh
out there that we're going to get to. But first, let's take a quick break. Come back. Sixers lose
Cheryl Hines in a race,
125,
for that matter.
112. They were down at
Jesus.
1 point by 34 to the Pistons. We'll dissect it all. Super chats on the other side right here on the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. And the Sixers needed some help from these guys, Rothman Orthopedics, to get in there and to pump some heart into the guys, man, out there tonight. And they do a lot. I don't know that they could have done that, but they do a lot. They can help Paul George with his pinky, though, and making sure that they get that right for him to play basketball at a high level once again. Rothman Orthopedics, they are the fantastic spot that, of course, that I went to for my injuries. Achilles, ACL, Rothman Orthopedics, done. That's where I went. So
Can
if
they
you
do
want to get
heart
back out there,
transplants for the bozos on this basketball team?
I said it, but I wasn't going to go that far. I said they might not be able to do that, but But if you have a body part that you need to have worked on because of an injury from hip, knee, spine, you name it, they have a team for each of those right there in your backyard, so you can cross over the defense, drain those jump shots once again. And also root for your teams like no other fans in the country. Rothman Orthopedics, they specialize in you. Patients will find the full spectrum of orthopedic care at Rothman Orthopedics. From the diagnosis to discharge, they provide their patients with every service and procedure necessary, such as the x-rays, orthotics, and bracings, MRI, physical therapy. The PT is fantastic, and more. I'm a walking billboard for Rothman because of what they did for me. So if you need them, just like I did, make sure you go check out Rothman Orthopedics. They specialize in orthopedics, you and me. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today. And if you just watched that basketball game like we did, you were absolutely pulling your hair out. And if you need to get that fixed and fixed quickly because it wasn't something that was hereditary, you did that on your own out of frustration. The Sixers are not going to pay for it, but you are going to have to. And the great spot for you to go to get checked out, get an early check-in to see what's going on. And that is with the great people from Dr. Glatt and Morgenstern teaming up as a super team to team up to make sure that they can get you back to where you need to be. If you watch the John Mark Show here on the PHLY Network, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. every day, you see Johnny, and he's got the full head of hair there, and it looks great. John has been a spokesman for their marketing campaign for many, many years, and John has a full head of hair, courtesy of course, going to Dr. Morgenstern and Glatt teaming up. Same peerless approach, same care, same team, unmatched Glatt system, and the same state-of-the-art location with the same stellar results overall. And each member of the exceptionally trained team brings 30-plus years of industry experience. Hair restoration is all that they do. But part of it, laser light therapy, non-invasive TED treatments, topical oral medications, vitamin supplementation, hair restoration surgery, and each patient receives a complimentary one-on-one consultation to pinpoint the best course of treatment overall. Change your hair, change your life. Bald is now optional, but if you had to do so because you watched that basketball game and manually did it yourself, if you want to improve how you look and how you feel about yourself, Glatt Hair has the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit GlattHairMCTR.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started.
Chi said, I lost my hair watching this game.
There you go. Glatt, Morgenstern. Got you covered, Chi. See, just John Marks will tell you it's all good. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers postgame show. Following that brutal performance by the Sixers on Friday night, 125-112 is the final Bree. Let's just run some of these super chats because there are aplenty. Saban 14. Should Ricky Council dye his hair gray? So Nurse thinks he's old enough to play over Gordon and Lowry. Saban 14.
Maybe at least get like a buzz cut, like I'm an older professional type of haircut. Maybe that'll change.
Cut the hair, man. Yeah, take the headband off.
Ricky, I don't know what you got to do, buddy, because frankly, he's played well over the last couple of weeks.
This was the same problem against Miami, where we said they needed some energy, and
especially that first half.
And look,
come on,
I'm hard on Ricky. Like, his decision making drives me nuts. You needed his energy. He will play hard. Give him all the grief you want. He will play hard, and they desperately needed that.
Great one right there. Great one right there, Ricky. Good luck, buddy. Let's see how you can get on the floor. That was an opportunity. Nurse did not call your number until the game was way out of hand. Marcus Blackstock, the 76ers playing competent basketball, and Joel's body language was horrible. They are broken from the top of the organization to the basketball court.
Like I keep saying, I don't see how you turn. You're just saying, well, we're going to flip the switch. We have everyone here, and it's just going to work. And I think what made that even more infuriating was probably hearing Daryl's messaging today. I know he's not going to sit there and be like, well, we stink and the season's over. But to get the message of like, boy, when we're healthy, we're still good and we have belief. And if you squint, you can see this. I'm squinting I don't know if I can squint without closing my eyes to see what you're seeing right now, Daryl.
Yep. Terrible. Corey says the Flyers are more fun to watch than the 76ers, and they're in a full rebuild. Pathetic performance all around. The team played bad and should feel bad, Derek.
Look, I can't back you up on the Flyers. I'm a 3 for 4 kind of guy. I don't know.
A 3 for 4.
Go check out the PHLY Flyers show.
They hold it down.
You will get someone to talk Flyers much better than me. But that was absolutely disgraceful.
Got to jam and do that hockey.
Jam. Get some jam in here. Let's go. Absolutely. Bernard McCoy. If Embiid can't dominate on the offensive end and continues to rebound and play defense like that, he needs to sit the rest of the season. All caps, it's over.
Look, we've talked before about like you can really see his lack of elevation on rebounds. Then you got to get position and go up with 2 hands.
Yes.
Like Jokic doesn't jump. He doesn't jump over a
couldn't
phone
clear
book.
a phone book.
Yes. He's getting rebounds. Like and he's clearly not as mobile as he can be at times. He's clearly not going to jump and elevate. Then you've got to work on the little details. You've got to be better than
Drummond two-handed when he was in there for a couple of those rebounds. Come on,
what did we say about Paul George early in the season? Hey, this guy's struggling to shoot, but you can see the attention to detail, the effort, the want to on defense is there. And that's why, despite the fact that he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn for like the first month of the season, gave him some grace, right? Because all of us here are people who respect and admire two-way basketball, right? We want to see guys who, hey, you're having a tough night out there, but you're willing to put the hard hat on and go check somebody, go protect the rim, make a hustle play, dive out of bounds, whatever you have to do. It's about winning, right? By any means necessary. At the end of the day, we can look at the box scores and say, oh, wow, this guy scored this many points and he did this and had this efficiency. But like, all that goes out the window for wins, right? I don't care. And I said it with Maxey. I don't care if Maxey is hyper efficient if what he's doing early in the year when he's by himself is getting them closer to wins. And so what I want to see from Joel tonight is not like, oh, he's going to drop 50 every game. It's not that he's going to be 15 or 20 from the field. It's that he will do whatever is required on that night and respond to what is happening. You're 1 for 9 from the field in the first half. That sucks, and it was horrible to watch. Go down on the other end and do something about it. Make a difference on defense. Run back in transition. Be the rim protector that we know that you're capable of being. I know he's not, early career, big springs, getting up and blocking everything. But to Derek's point, the positioning can be there. The box outs can be there. There are a lot of possessions, a lot of times when he's just standing flat-footed, arms up in the air, again, as if God is going to bring the rebound to him. That's not how it works. And a team that has some young athletes like the Pistons is going to kill you for that every single time.
Appreciate the super chat, Bernard. We go to Skunk Riley, who says, "I don't have we'll get to Mark in a second. I don't have a haiku tonight. I'm just here for angry, passionate Kyle."
I think it's angry, passionate, everybody. I just tend to be a little louder than the other two most of the time.
You show the passion a little more, for sure. I just get disgusted. I get frustrated more than I get angry.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to Mark Jackson, who did have one that says, during the halftime show, maybe, or post game, not sure.
I believe it was halftime.
Halftime?
Udonis Haslam and I think Brian Windhorst were both going in on Joel a little bit.
Haslam said it best: if you had better habits, you would be in better condition, and it would prevent some of those injuries. I can't keep letting him play in our face like that. He's washed.
I mean, he did just have a triple-double like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Like, he's not completely
after
washed.
I
missing a
can't
month.
call him washed.
After missing
I
a
can
month.
say that he's not setting the tone.
No.
He's not being a culture setter. He's a bad example to the rest of the team. Blah, blah, blah. All that stuff tonight. The wash thing. I'm
But
not
it is true that, like, as you age deeper into your career, the habits become more and more
Absolutely.
important. It's something we've talked about for years. And it's a comparison with Allen Iverson that we brought up in the past. Allen Iverson, now Iverson's a 5'11" guard who, like, those tend to decline very quickly. But the habits matter a great deal, and Embiid's are catching up to him a little bit. I think that's fair.
Yep, Mark Jackson, appreciate that for the super chat. Marcus Blackstock with another. Joel isn't a leader, and he's full of turds. This is why Maxey got on him before.
So I needed to have a laugh tonight.
He did have to go into the locker room in after the third quarter.
I
might have been full
I
of
guess
turds.
I'll leave that one alone.
Jess in the super chat.
With a big super
with a
chat,
big,
by the way. So big it's in a different color on
Look
our
at
screen.
that.
here.
I didn't even see that. Look at that. Look at that. The donation. We appreciate it, Jess. Thank you very much. Just a reminder, as per Maury 12 hours ago, just like you guys just talked about, Joel is core to everything we do.
And he is.
And he sets the
And
tone out
this-
there on the floor.
And this is the downside version of that.
And this is also why we get so frustrated, because he is the only one that can make this team truly, truly matter. Maxey, as great as he has been, is not at the point in his career where he is going to elevate you into a championship contender. It has to be Joel playing like he played in the regular season before this latest injury, and you just can't have nights like this. You can't have it.
Cannot. So let's just keep it going with Jess, since she has another super chat. Kyle yelling, "Boo!" had more effort than this team tonight. Again, please. He just did it, Jess. So there you go. You got it. You got it a second time.
So now I have twice the effort of the team
Yes,
tonight,
you
or
did.
maybe like four
Twice?
times. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Vince Pellegrini,
Hello, Vince.
what up, man? If
15 text messages weren't enough. You had to drop a super chat too.
if Embiid's body's breaking down, don't play then. If he's out there, no excuses.
I don't think this was a body breaking down
I don't
game.
think so either.
It was a
This was-
disinterested
And
game.
that's worse.
Yeah.
To like, and Vince, I will say, I agree with the point of once guys are on the floor,
You got to play.
you have to produce. And it doesn't mean, again, it doesn't have to mean 30 and 10
No.
and 5 assists. It could be 17 points, a bunch of rebounds, a bunch of assists, and great defense.
Because,
Just
by the way,
committed defense.
Maxey showed that he can, again, score tonight. So, yeah, let him score. And some of the others, we'll get to a few of those as well. But, yeah, it's the effort, man. It's the effort. Skunk Riley, y'all been covering this team forever. Is this the worst season you've ever covered?
by far. It's
Yeah,
not even close.
no doubt.
In
because-
terms of frustration factor, I don't even think it's
Yeah,
close.
because even when they were rebuilding, we knew what the plan was. It was frustrating.
And I spent most of that time watching college basketball,
Yes.
frankly.
I love college basketball. I'd love to watch college basketball again. Unfortunately, they traded their pick. No, this is because the combination of expectations, a combination of knowing that the clock is running out on this era. It is by far not even close the worst season that I've covered, and
Not even
I've
close.
covered every one of those bad process teams. I covered Doug Collins. I covered everyone. By far the worst.
The
Not
only
even close.
worst one, the only one that's even in the conversation from Joel's time playing is the Horford season. And even that year, the start of the year, they played really
Yeah.
well. As a home team, they were basically unbeatable. That was during that 2-year stretch where they essentially did not lose at home. Now, the bubble was terrible and like they got swept out of the playoffs and vibes were low, but that team was like a breath of fresh air compared to, I mean, they had the January or February where Joe was out and the Simmons Horford led team went crazy for a little bit. At least there was a pocket like that. This team has had no fun and no joy really since McCain left.
We've had 2 stretches of 4-game winning streaks where we were getting our hopes up of thinking maybe they might do something here. And that's it. This is game 51 tonight. Well, that's 8 games.
And at least that team, like I think they ended up like top 5 or maybe 6 or 7 in defense. Like they had something to hang. This team has nothing to hang their hat on right now. Yeah,
they're not good at any. Bree and I sat here one day talking about recording some stuff for the YouTube channel, and as I'm writing things out, I was like, man, they just suck at everything. There's not a single thing that I'm like, boy, they do this well, unless you consider infuriating the fans and the media covering the team. They are elite at that.
Yes, they are. Marty Bones, can't blame him for the injuries, and it's understandable he is frustrated. We all are. But attitude and maturity have been Joel's biggest weaknesses all along.
And Mark Jackson has a follow-up I want to throw in. The handstands told me everything. Washed.
I forgot about the handstands.
We didn't talk a ton about those, or we brought it up on a show, I believe, and we're
it was
like,
after the practice.
It's a bad look, but like when you tie that into something like the Oubre thing on the sideline tonight, they're all examples of you just don't understand the moment that you're in, and if you do, you're just acting completely oblivious to how pissed off the city and the fans are, how big of a predicament you're in terms of the seeding battle and trying to fight your way up the play-in and playoff ladder, however you want to frame it. He just does not seem to get it. And for him to sit there earlier this week and, compliment and say, look, these young guys and these guys who've been holding down the fort, really big props and credit to them for doing what they could to leave us in a position to fight for this down the stretch. You're spitting in their face for the effort they gave coming back and playing like this. It's just terrible.
And after he played and got that 29-point triple-double, we saw that he can still go out there and give effort and play like that, where this was a winnable game, as we said in the pregame.
Yeah, I don't really care at all about the handstands, I'll be honest. What I do care about is that last point Kyler brought up. Tyrese Maxey busted his freaking ass for a month.
On both ends.
40 minutes per night, carrying the team offensively, giving his heart defensively to keep you in a position. Now they're 20 and 31. They're not in a great position, but a position where you can still at least dream of making the play-in. To come out with this effort when you finally got your big 3 together, it was really, really disappointing. I care about that way more than I care about the handstands.
Well, but the handstands to me are like, if you ever got in trouble in school, or God forbid you ever got in trouble with like the law, when the spotlight is on you and this season sucks, I haven't played, there's going to be hyper scrutiny on you for everything you do. And then you're just like, oh, I'm going to do a handstand in practice. Like, what are you doing? It's just stupid. People like, forget what it says about your ability as a basketball player or your character. It's just stupid. It's dumb above all else. It's just dumb and unnecessary. And the people who are like, some people are already just like, they don't believe in you, whatever. You're not going to win them back.
Plenty.
But there are a lot of people who are on the fence, right? People who are diehard fans, who are still invested in the team, who have ridden the roller coaster with you, who don't want to give up on you, but are looking at your actions in every facet of your basketball life and making a judgment call on, maybe I'm just done with this guy, or maybe I'll keep riding with this guy. And if you just keep siphoning them off, you're not going to have anybody left in your corner, right? And maybe he doesn't care about that. Maybe he doesn't think it matters. Maybe he thinks that they'll put together this mythical run that Daryl seems to think is possible with these guys. But like, just help yourself. Show up, do the things that all of us know that you're capable of doing. Don't be a bozo. Don't be a bozo ever, but don't be a bozo in the glare of the public eye, and be a professional. That's where it has to start. The rest will come with it.
I will say it was pretty impressive form on a handstand for a 7-footer.
I don't want to hear it, man. Just
And then
you want to go be a
fast,
gymnast, go try out for the Olympic team on that side.
Darkness in the chat said that Joel laughing on the bench during that challenge or that officiating a reversal of the Jalen Duren offensive foul there late, sitting on the bench and laughing was all we needed to know about Joel Embiid. So to your point, Kyle, stuff like that, down as big as they are, having to come back but still trailing and then eventually losing. Fans don't want to see you laughing on the bench in that situation, no matter if you got the call overturned or not. We'll come back. We'll finish off our super chats, get to the player of the game because we did award one, and we'll wrap things up on this Friday night. Yes, you guys. Sixers fall once again big. Now, final score 125-112, but the score doesn't indicate how terrible it was tonight. Our post-game show, of course, presented by, as always, Bet365.
And I want to tell you wonderful people about the good folks at Ace Hardware Home Services. They have fixes for just about anything that you could need. You got a leaky pipe at Ace Hardware Home Services. They're around the block with everything you need to fix it, including the person who will do the fixing. You have an air conditioning issue or maybe a heating issue in the winter, they have a person for that. You have a faucet, you said you'd fix it last fall, they've got that person too, because Ace is not just the helpful hardware, folks. I'm running out of words that I can say in a single day. Ace is also the helpful home service and repair people. From plumbing to heating and cooling, they've got the trusted pros to keep your home humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services, bringing helpful home, the helpful you love, from the store to your front door. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at www.acehardwarehomeservices.com to get you started on your next project.
Look, I don't know if you're like me, but I did a lot of holiday shopping for a lot of loved ones. If that credit card balance is weighing you down, we want to tell you about TrueMark Financial. How about this? What if you could pay that debt off faster and with zero interest until 2026? It's true because TrueMark Financial is offering zero interest on balance transfers, like Kyle, I can't talk, for 12 months. So all your payments can go toward reducing your balance, not just covering your interest. Transfer your existing balance from another institution to TrueMark Financial Visa credit card and take advantage of this amazing offer. But hurry, because you have to apply by February 28th, 2025. Whether you're interested in earning rewards, cashback, or simply prefer a low rate for everyday purchases, with TrueMark Financial, you can choose a credit card that best fits your financial needs. Visit TrueMark.com/compare for full details and to apply today. TrueMark Financial, federally insured by the NCUA, equal opportunity lender. Terms and conditions apply. All loans subject to approval. 3% balance transfer fees applies. Standard rates apply after the promotional rate.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Bree, let's do the player of the game real quick since we can talk about him. We mentioned him, how good he was for the month that he's been carrying the team. 27 points, 4 of 10 tonight from 3, 2 steals, 7 assists. Just clearing that number for all of you to make that money if you followed and tailed during the pregame, courtesy of Bet365. So Tyrese Maxey, the player of the game, he extends his at least 25 points or more to now 17 games, of scoring 25 or more for the Philadelphia Sixers. He was one of the bright spots for this team tonight. So Tyrese Maxey tonight, our player of the game, and as always, brought to you by no one. All right.
I would have preferred nobody get a player of the game, but if somebody had to get it, it was either him or the new guy, I think.
And we'll talk about the new guy here. We have a few more super chats to get through, a ton running through here tonight. So Vinny also says the game
Vince is in his element.
Has passed Morey by. Yeah, he can get on Morey and Embiid tonight. The game has passed Morey by in his first super chat, and in the second super chat, Embiid is not elevating the team to championship level, even in his career. I mean, ever, in his career. So he's not. He's just not going to do it, according to Vinny.
I spend enough of my life reacting to Vince's takes. I'm not sure I necessarily need to do that.
Thanks for the donations, Vince.
Saya Ryder wants to talk about the new guy who did play pretty well. Quentin Grimes had some good moments defensively, made some good shots. Hopefully, Nurse utilizes him more after the All-Star break. Small bright spot from Saya Ryder. Saya Ryder, we appreciate it. Yeah, and it was tough for him because, I mean, look, he just got here. He made some shots, and there was an opportunity where the Sixers were down 14 in the fourth quarter for him to hit a three, cut it to 11. They got to stop. He missed another one that could have potentially cut it back to single digits, but it's not all on him. I mean, he missed those shots. They were some really good looks, too, for Quentin Grimes. But for the most part, Kyle, he looked like he looked pretty good. All the reason for you to yell and scream about the Kyle Lowry minutes when while Quentin Grimes does play close to, 30 minutes tonight, I think he almost had there. 28 minutes for the Sixers tonight. He looked pretty good in his debut. And, again, put him on the floor, let him run up the floor with Maxey and Joel and see how that looks.
I thought Quentin looked about exactly what you would have hoped for, I think, in terms of the shot profile. He was basically all threes and then layup attempts, I think, or like getting in the rim, like did a good job.
Tough body.
Attacking closeouts and the pull-up three that you mentioned, Devon. I think, honestly, the thing that was most noticeable, because the defensive effort was so poor overall, watching him get around screens and slide in traffic and stop some guys dead in their tracks on drives, that's where you can see the vision of, oh, this guy could be the top backcourt defender and chase the guys at the point of attack and make Maxey's life a little bit easier, or McCain's life a little bit easier next season if he's around here after this summer. I think he had a stellar performance, not a great one, but it would have been hard to have a great one when you're playing your first game with a new team and half the guys on the team decided they were not going to play until Sunday in Milwaukee.
Yeah, he walked in like, what are these guys doing? And
honestly, there were some moments where I saw Grimes looking around and he's like, are you guys for real?
What is happening here?
If there had been miscommunication issues, I think you can normally see when that happens with a new guy, guys will come together and they'll have a little mini huddle and like da-da-da-da-da-da, like should have been there. Okay, cool. But he was looking at guys like, y'all aren't serious right now, right? Like that's not the scheme. That's not what I was told. You're not doing anything.
And from play one, you could see it with his defensive effort. He came in, busted up the screen, knocked the ball away. Kelly Oubre picked six the other way for a breakaway dunk.
Yeah. No, he was everything you were hoping for. It's just everyone else on the team was what
you weren't hoping
provided
for.
None of what you were hoping for. Yeah. He was good. I think he's going to be a good fit. It's not going to matter if two of your big three play like they did tonight. But yeah, it was good. Yeah. I do think, and I don't want to get too deep into it because we're pretty late. We really got to focus, because tonight's about Joe. That effort's not acceptable. It's not the effort every night, but it's certainly set the tone for this game.
Yeah.
At some point, their defense over the last month and a half and their transition defense all season has to be a focus. Nick has to find a way to have an answer. You cannot play this poor of a defense, because when you look at the other teams that are around them in transition defense, it's like New Orleans, it's like the Wizards, it's the terrible, terrible teams of the league. This is not sustainable, and Nick has to find a way to adjust his scheme, get his players communicating, and stop this.
Quick stat, couple of stats, just real fast. The Sixers shot 41 for 83 for their 50%, 49.4%. The Pistons were 44 for 97. So even though they didn't make that many more than the 76ers and just 4 more made threes for the Pistons, they were able to get up 97 shots. And so let me go to another part of how they were able to get those 97 shots. The Sixers lost by 18 in the defense on the rebounding side of things, and on the offensive boards, 21-7.
21 offensive rebounds
tonight for the Detroit Pistons.
That is despicable, man.
26-10.
And you could have talked me into a higher number.
Points. Yeah.
You could have told me they had 25 or 30, and I would have believed you.
26-10.
Here's an even more amazing stat that I found. The Sixers outscored the Pistons in the half court on the first shot. And it died by a little bit. 108 points per 100 plays for the Sixers in the half court, 95 for the Pistons. They smoked them in the half court. 2 things: transition, rebounding. That was the story of the game. That was effort. That was focus. That was communication. That was attention to detail. That's it.
21 offensive boards,
Detroit Pistons team should not have been able to score on them. All you had to do was hustle back and communicate. You should have blown them
So
out.
to say that, +3 in makes and field goals, 44-41 for Detroit, +4, 17-13 in favor of the Pistons. So the discrepancy is not that big. But when you give up 21 offensive rebounds and they scored 26 points off of that, chances are you're not winning that basketball game. And that's exactly what we saw here tonight. That was unbelievable when I finally looked. I said, you know what? You can feel it, as you said. You could have told me that was 30 offensive boards, and I would have believed it. So let me wait until the end of the game and look at the final box and see it. 21-7 on the offensive glass. 21-7.
All right, which sequence was more infuriating? The Paul Reed sequence in the third, or the play where Kelly Oubre,
the WTF moment of the
had
night.
no idea where the ball was, and they all just stood around, and the Pistons eventually picked the ball off the ground and scored a second chance basket.
I would say it's the Paul Reed one. The WTF moment is certainly the Kelly Oubre one, but the Paul Reed one was because he also had a tip on the inbound that they couldn't inbound the
was a part
basketball.
of that really
exactly.
annoyed me. Yeah.
Yes. And then they missed it again, and he got the offensive board because Eric Gordon decided, let me tag him as he's running by me as my box out, and he goes in for that dunk there on that.
That was more
offensive
effort
board.
than Eric Gordon gave on that play. You overplayed your
My
man
bad.
there.
My bad. The tag was a lot of effort. Yeah, my bad. So there you go. The WTF moment was bad.
And Eric
though.
Gordon, I feel like we've glossed over it. He was a disaster.
He was
tonight.
awful.
He was terrible.
Terrible. I mean,
Everyone.
a
He's good
lot
when
of
he
guys
starts,
were
right?
terrible.
Was that?
He's only good when he
Yeah.
starts. Yeah, that's it. Oh man, that was bad though. The Kelly one. He's still looking for that basketball.
I have a question for you guys.
Golly.
If you're Gershon Yabusele watching that game from the sideline, I'm not saying it's very small relative to other things. What % impact does watching that game has on your decision in the summer?
Well, he's seen it a lot. I mean, so if it's
Like
this might be
not
the
zero.
No, it's not.
It's a number bigger than zero.
if we can sit there and say Grimes comes in for his first game and says, "What are these guys doing?" He has seen it for 51 games now, even with the ones that he missed. So I hear you. It's not nothing. It's not nothing. It's not nothing. Let's go to the rest of the super chats that we have here.
I like how the entire second half of the show was just super chats.
We appreciate
Everybody's
pissed off.
pissed, and I feel you
Thank you.
guys. And even though I'm losing my voice up here, it's why I'm trying to channel all of your frustration here on this microphone.
All right, Pump. Pump says here, all right, got to read it. Might have to take a dive at Embiid's.
No, I'm not. I'm not riding for any intentional injuries for any player in any sport, except for people who are actual criminals and murderers and whatever. Yeah. And even then, I still probably wouldn't.
Yeah, no.
So I'm not riding for that, P-Pump, but thank you for the donation.
Yes. Marcus Blackstock says Paul George has made more podcast clips on YouTube than shots.
I actually sent that. There's a tweet. I'm sure you probably saw it too.
It's not close either, by the way.
No, it's not close. I sent that to Devon and Kyle in the middle of the game.
Yeah, there's that. That's, yeah.
I believe it was.
I mean, look, I've never
like
related to an NBA
234?
player more.
Was it like 230?
It was
Man.
228 YouTube podcast clips, 191 field goals made.
So even after his 6 made today, it's still not even close.
Yeah, it's still 228 to 197. Unless they actually added more podcast clips since then, in which case, still losing.
Davon. All right. Youth, pace, and effort had us 6-2. Half court, long possessions, no transition, anything has us looking terrible, even in wins. Paul George, Embiid slows us down. Well, it was what I asked Kyle the other night, he and Rich during the postgame. You see Joel and Paul George sitting on the sideline, watching how those guys were playing, and they were winning and keeping it close in two teams that were better than them, clearly, Denver and Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, Derek, you look at that, and they have to sit there and say, all right, these guys are playing. You guys talked about it earlier. He gave them credit for how they were doing things. Inject yourself in that. And if you can't run, outlet the basketball, push the ball ahead to the half court to let them run, and you're back in the event that they miss. You can protect the paint, all of that. This is something that we did talk about, and it is disappointing that they couldn't come in and, again, elevate their level of play to keep up with those guys. You can't ask them to run and keep up the pace, but they can certainly board, outlet, and allow them to run on an odd man situation and take advantage of that with Maxey, his speed. You got Grimes in there now. I mean, certainly when you have others like Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon, they can't. But even with Eric Gordon, he can spot up somewhere. So if you do kick it ahead and the floor is unbalanced and in your favor, you can find him sprayed around the three-point line in his shooting pocket and give him a chance to knock it down. So they can't keep up with him. They're certainly useful in the half court, but even when we saw it in the half court tonight, it wasn't what we saw on Tuesday when Embiid
And
was
by
out
the
there.
way, playing with pace is not just running in transition. We saw what playing with pace looks like for Joel in his first game back. He's making quick reads and quick passes. And
Catch and go.
you can look at Nikola Jokic. That guy wouldn't win a foot race with basically anybody in the league, just like Lowry, but he's in constant motion, right? When they get up the floor in transition, Jokic has the ball and pushes the pace and makes the hit-ahead passes in the half court. It's just the quick hitters, the dribble handoffs, all that. Whereas tonight, Joel was a ball stopper. Joel, the ball got to him, and it's him surveying the floor and staring at the rim. Like, I'm okay if he's going to take shots. If you're open at the elbow, go ahead, get a shot up. But when you're sitting there and everyone else is sitting there standing around, that is the path to offense dying. You just can't do it. And so I don't need Joel to sprint up the floor, right? That's not what pace needs to look like. I need him to make the effort to get up and down the floor. I need him to be moving. But what you really need from him is pace of decision making, pace in how he's playing and the purpose that he's showing out there on the floor.
All right, Todd in the super chat says, I'll pay money to say this. Remember how good they looked 2 weeks ago? Which is what we just talked about.
Hard to forget.
Every
Yeah,
team can look good for a 5-game stretch, though. Like, you've got to do something consistently. And this team hasn't done anything consistently all year.
Yeah.
Well, they've lost pretty consistently. But
I was going to say, well,
Their record,
nothing
they've
consistently
stunk
well.
pretty
Yeah.
consistently. Yeah.
20-31 on the season for the
Just-
Philadelphia 76ers after falling
How did this happen, man? How are we in this spot right now?
Yeah, that's an entire week of shows to break that
Yeah,
down.
well, we'll have the All-Star break
We
to
will.
really let these guys have it, I guess.
Yeah, we will.
It does feel like a break, though, to not have to watch this team
Oh,
for a whole
boy.
week.
I'm going to watch some movies. I'll play some video games, maybe some Marvel Rivals. I don't know, man. I'm going to enjoy that time. Then back to the salt mines.
51 games in, folks, and they are 11 games, not over, under 500.
And by the way, of everyone who is here tonight and has been with us on this ride, I respect the heck out of you guys for continuing to just put up with the nonsense of this team, but also for showing us the love of
You have to
showing
have
up each
some
and
place to
every day.
vent. You might as well come vent with us here on this one. What did the schedule for the second half of the season? Did you say it was like the top 5 easiest schedule?
Oh, yeah,
in
it's one of the
league?
easiest in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So
Won't matter if you play like tonight, but you
does
know.
not. All right, let's get to the world famous roll call to end off this Friday night.
We might have to wait another minute so we have a lot of people in here tonight, man. And
Well,
Yeah,
we
he's
can
not
tell-
finishing this up
should we
before.
plug the
We could tell everybody to go check out the website, allphly.com, to read the recap from Kyle tonight. You heard it. And you can also see the frustration in the words at allphly.com. Hope you had an opportunity to take advantage of the $36 deal that we had, the special. You see the birds are happening, everything, the big game this weekend. We decided to lower the price to get some people to sign up. It was $36, but right now, unfortunately, that ended at midnight last night. I believe it ended at midnight last night. That said,
Probably should have checked
please-
that before we went on the air.
Please go sign up to become a diehard member. Read Kyle's
you have
story.
40 minutes left to get in on that deal,
Derek's work as well. And again, all
It is normal price now.
of the great content from the Eagles team, the PHLY Eagles, ahead of the Super Bowl. They've just been kicking out story after story, especially Zach with all the work that he has been doing out there in New Orleans. The man is not sleeping. He's not sleeping. I watched their show the other day, and he was like, yeah, I need some rest. I'll get it. He said he'll get it after
The parade.
No, he actually said the draft.
That's probably true.
The draft. Because
Man.
free agency starts in like a month.
I really wish if we're gonna have to sit through this shit season, just give me a draft pick out of it. Ugh.
Well,
Let me go back to my roots a little bit.
well, like Kyle said, at least you get a little bit of a break with this.
All right.
Sunday night.
Roll call.
Sunday night. Roll call.
Thank you,
Look at that.
everybody who was here. And I mean everybody, because if you show up for this post-game show for this damn team, you're okay in my book because you're here with us, showing us love and support.
What up, all of you?
And that means the world to us. Thank you to my girl Winona, who we just saw
Hey,
very
Nona.
recently. Thank you to Jess, who we also saw very recently. Thank you to Stonks Zach Berman. That's a new one for me.
Oh,
Great
look at that,
name.
little Zach.
Mom's grandchildren. Hello to Mom.
Hello.
Popping in, saying hello. Yams Colangelo. Bootzilla.
Boots.
T. Harris.
That's what the Pistons did to the Sixers tonight. They
Hey.
put their boot.
B2A, as they say.
There you go.
T.
T.
Harris.
Harris had a night.
Mr. B. Todd Gebhardt.
What up, Todd? Thanks for the
Mark
super chat.
Jackson with
You
a
too,
lot
Mark.
of crying, laughing emojis. Frank, who says, and I feel this, brother, Sixers lose horrible and PSN network is down. Horrible Friday. Brother, that PS5 sound would have chirped for me if I was not covering this team at about the 1.5 mark of this
Oh.
game. Thank you also to Misremembered 72.
Oh, remember this
I
game.
Gavini.
Hi, Gavini.
Hey, Aaron.
What
What's
up,
up,
Aaron?
buddy? Al Mack. I already said Bootzilla. I was about to say it again. Joaquin from Cherry Hill, who
What up,
says he's
Joaquin?
Plateau and Rivals. I think you're still in range, buddy. We'll get on one night. I'll figure out what your tag is. X-Man,
X.
SB Cole,
What up,
MPTR, Lost Sleep TV.
Not losing sleep over this
You
one.
a fraud? You're not a fraud, buddy, because you're here with us. I got to really wind up
Never.
for this one. Darkness is in the building with us tonight.
The Sixers turn to light
That
down
voice is
tonight.
gone tomorrow.
Phi Chi hanging out with us.
What up, Chi?
SB Cole hanging out with us. Brian Knight,
B. Knight.
Remo K, Larry
Remo.
Jackson, Nikki G. Can we get the super chatters up on the screen,
Oh, I got
Bree?
them all right here
Because there
for you.
are a lot of them.
Save
Todd
it.
Gebhardt, Davon, Marcus Blackstock, Vincent Pellegrini, B Pump,
Pump.
Say A Ryder hanging out. Mark Jackson again, Marty Bones, Jess again,
Thank you,
Skunk
Jess.
Riley, the Haiku King,
Not tonight.
Corey,
What up,
Bernard
Corey?
McCoy, Marcus again,
Look, he put as much effort into that
And
haiku as Joel did on
Saban-
defense.
Very true.
14.
Very
Thank
true.
you to each and every one of our super chatters and everybody who was here with us tonight. Guys, I have no voice left.
Kicking out the
So
funds.
all I can say is you got to hit the subscribe button. You got to hit the bell icon so you get notifications each and every time we go live.
Better
And
effort than-
please, please, if she had to sit here through this nonsense and that nonsense that was that game, you better hit that damn thumbs up button to say thank you, super producer Bree. You are the best. You are the GOAT.
Or
We
over
will be
there.
back Sunday because for some godforsaken reason,
The
the
NBA.
Sixers are playing on Super Bowl Sunday before the Eagles. So hang out with us for pregame.
1:30.
Hang out with us for postgame, which will be before, and it'll probably be over an hour before the Super Bowl. You got plenty of time. We'll commiserate.
Fast.
I'll have an Eagles jersey on. We'll all have Eagles gear on, and we will have some fun, even if this godforsaken basketball team stinks it up again.
Look at
Thank
the
you,
dog
everybody,
mask, man.
and good night.
Mask. See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.